Hello, everybody. It's just in. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead and do my sharings. Shout out to Watch Me Work. These numbers are way down from streaming at the other end of the pool. Okay. Man, this person has some sharp looking stuff. All right. Now we're going to go to my dashboard. Pop this thing out. So obviously I won't be here long because I am so late. I'm getting used to the new time, so I apologize for this, guys. I'll get it together. So obviously I won't be here long because I am so late. I'm getting used to the new time, so I apologize for this, guys. I'll get it together. Okay. All right. Yeah. Huh, I took over a problem early. All right, sweet. Well, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So, hopefully my levels are a little bit better than they were last week. Now, I know we had a good jamming out time and everything, but I wanted it to be a nice balance between, you know, my voice and the music and things like that. So hopefully this works out a little bit better. And so I've been thinking about a lot of things lately. You know, actually you don't know, so I'll tell you. Just want to say thank you to my Patreon supporters. You've been so patient and kind and generous and awesome, and I don't know how else to thank them. Here's been my problem, right? And this might be some of y'all's problem too. Is this right here? This right there. And the belief that
What?
it doesn't matter.
Here's been my problem.
Uh,
Right? This might be some of y'all's problem too.
and you don't matter.
Is this right here?
And that causes this right here.
This right
Yeah.
there.
The guilt
And the
of not performing the way that you would want to, or doing this or doing that, or not doing this, and
doesn't matter.
all that guilt breeds condemnation, and condemnation is about actually devaluing something. It could even be a person. And
Yeah.
when that happens,
Guilt.
you begin to withdraw, and this is what you're left with.
You are doing this.
And God, one of the first things that God says that is not good is that He says that it's not good for man to be alone. So, this is where me and a lot of other people need to get out of mentally. Because you can still be isolated in a crowd, or you can still be isolated with amongst friends. You can still be isolated. This right here is far more dangerous than many of us give credit that it is. Which, you know, I'm going to upgrade this to purple. Well, I can't really do that. Shoot. Oh well. I'm only going to make this thing a booger to fight. I might make it his own boss. So I want to have like boss characters inside the subconscious, you know, like the ones that are really, really big.
Far more dangerous.
You know. So what are like the 7 deadly sins? Like greed, anger. Like this should be one of the 7 deadly sins. Maybe you might pass it off as apathy. I don't know, but
I'm only gonna make this thing a
Um,
fight. Might make it its own.
I think that you could.
They want to have like boss characters inside the subconscious, you know, like the ones that are really, really big.
So
So what are like the 7
this right here is,
like this should be
and it's a constant temptation too, right?
maybe you might pass it off as apathy.
It's like it is this temptation to withdraw until you've got your stuff together, or whatever that means. Till the guilt that you feel is taken care of for underperforming in the way that you think you should be performing at. Isn't that crazy? But the only way to actually get past things like that is to accept help from other people. But you don't want them to know that you need help, because then you feel ashamed.
Till the guilt that you feel
Yeah.
is taken care of for underperforming.
So
what you think you should be performing
this guy right here is no joke.
But the only way to actually get past things like that is to
Like
help from other people. But you don't want them to know that you need help. 'Cause
isolation can and has
so
for other people
this guy right
and will kill you.
no joke.
That's how serious isolation is. You have no one to combat the lies and the deceptions and all those type of things
Can
that are being passed around in your head,
for other people
you know?
and will kill you.
You got no, because you don't have a brother or a sister or somebody around
To combat
to speak
lies and deceptions and all this
to all the stuff going on. I'm gonna have this one transform into lies.
passed around in your head.
And yeah, this one right here is gonna transform into like 3 different other things.
You got no
Now how did I do that? I forgot how I actually did that.
somebody around to speak.
Those are the original enemies right there. That's funny. Uh.
Yeah. This one right here is going to transform to like 3 different other ones.
Let's see. No, I think this is just in the code of the actual troop. Yeah. Yeah, that's what that is. Okay. So I'm gonna do a lot with isolation here. So isolation is something that I didn't know. So I've come out of isolation in terms of my environment, but I haven't come out of it mentally, I don't think. So that's been something I've been kind of struggling with lately. And not to be like constantly struggling with stuff, right? Like you don't want to be constantly struggling with stuff or the same thing over and over and over again, you know?
So,
Or you don't want to confess over yourself that you're, you know, struggling over some stuff that, you know, you kind of should be a little bit over with by now, you know? I don't know. But you don't want to do that either. It's one of the things my pastor's been saying to me recently. It's that, you know, you can't be looking for something that's wrong with you, you know? You just gotta, instead of thinking that something's wrong with you, it's better to add rather than to think that you're subtracting. So it will be good and wise to speak good things over yourself, to confess good things over yourself, because the power of life and death is in the power of the tongue. So if we're going to be silly enough to believe the Bible, then let's go ahead and believe him on that. Because if you look at the analytics of your behavior in isolation, I think you'll find pretty comfortably that this is some bullcrap. No. Yeah. The guilt that you're experiencing is nothing to do. It's Scott Jacobson. What's going on, Scott? This is your first day. This is your first day back, isn't it? Okay. There's a pretty significant lag, so I had to kind of speak on that. You know, as I get the messages, it's like almost like a minute delay. It's crazy. But yeah, I was just talking about Scott. What isolation can do to you. It can do a lot of interesting things to you, and none of them are good. But yesterday I was just kind of struggling, and actually Scott was really kind of helping me out. So shout out to Scott Jacobson over here for just talking to me, because he wasn't talking me down to do anything silly or whatever, you know, in terms of harming myself or whatever. But he was talking me, just talking to me. So, and Scott, I don't ever sleep. I never freeze. I said I never freeze. No, I'm always either up or going to bed, or I'm either going to bed at weird times, or I'm waking up like super early. So I don't have a 9 to 5. I just kind of sell things. so flip things, you know, do on some like Gary V stuff, you know. That forced me to do the things that I kind of want to do and things like that. So that's kind of nice. And so I just kind of wake up at like 7 o'clock in the morning, you know, and get to it because I can't finish all the things I want to do in a day. That wasn't working. So yeah. So flip things, you know, do on some like Gary V stuff, you know. Dome guard. What does this even do? What enemy is that? I don't know why I have that there. We'll just stick you right over here, I guess.
7 o'clock in the morning, you know, and get to it because I can't finish all the things I want to do.
Yeah. 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 Oh, you're kidding. Huh. Let's put some dishes right here. This is for organizing stuff. There you go. All right. But yeah, like I've got to get on my head that. Gotta get on my head that. Gotta get out of my head that, like, when I do things, it doesn't matter. You know? Or that no one's watching. Or because the amount of people that I would like to watch are watching. Yeah, that's gotta stop. I used to have a Sunday school class. And those little boogers. And, oh, not little boogers. I don't want to speak that on them. But
or that no one's watching, or because the amount of people
I had like maybe sometimes I had maybe sometimes like a kid would show up. That was it. That's all that I had. But I honored that kid. You know? I honored that kid. I spoke life over that kid. I treasure that because I saw that Jesus left, you know, it's 99 sheep for the one. So I was never mad at the numbers. But then when I look at, you know, the worldly way of looking at like the YouTube stuff, you know, the algorithms and the view counts and things like that. When I looked at it from that perspective, I was kind of like, well, no one's watching, and therefore I called someone no one, and I apologize for that. And I completely repent of that. You're not no one. So I'm very sorry about even thinking such a thing about the few views that I have. But that's not the point. The point is that there was even if there's one view, I need to nurture that one view. And I need to respect that one view, you know? So, I just did some bull crap, so I'm sorry about that. Truly, I am. Yeah. So, what are you saying here, Scott? A colorist, Scott, is someone who colors. So, I can show you here a little bit. Hopefully it won't like crash the stream, because sometimes my stream is on that struggle. I mean, it shouldn't. Like, I have 68 gigs of DDR4 RAM on this thing, so it better flipping do what it do. I'd just like to give a shout out to Google Drive, because sometimes I think about the horror shows, like, what if this thing crashes? Like, it's on the cloud. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm more chill. My butt cheeks are nice and relaxed. You always want to have relaxed butt cheeks. You're welcome for that. It's like, what's wrong with Justin? The shorter answer is what's right with him. So let's say, for example, we'll bring out an old photo somewhere.
You always want to have relaxed butt cheeks.
Bring out some inks. Nah, it was my most. Here's the test ink that I usually use for people. So I send someone. um, but yeah, I like to do like a color layer and do a shade layer and do a light layer like that, and then I'll go ahead and color the color girl. And I would send this to people when I was doing it on what was that website called? Oh, Who. Okay. Oh, I see. Who is your colorist? People on myself and people on Fiverr. So that's the budget that I have. I have a little Fiverr budget from the Patreon. Again, shout out to the Patreon folks. Yay! Well, I'll kind of do some things with this just to let people know how to do the coloring stuff. Because this is very, very important. And this is the thing that consumes the most amount of time, is the coloring. So not even like the game itself consumes a lot of time, but this sure as heck does. So now I'm doing this in a very, very simplified way. This is not going to be completely accurate. But then after that, I just take some, and I try to make it as easy as possible on myself. So that's nice. That, bam, bam. A little bit of the chest area, like so, like this. Okay. Yada yada yada. But yes, people on Fiverr are my colorists. Now, it may not seem like this requires a lot of time, because this within itself doesn't, but when you have 400 of these, it takes a little bit more time. See that? It's more of a nice cel-shaded look, so I'm not driving myself or other people insane when it comes to like, hey, color this part or whatever it is. So yeah, but I don't have like an official colorist. Hopefully the people that had, when I actually had a budget, because I had a little bit of a budget back, it's many years ago now. Yeah, it was years ago. A couple of years ago, I had a little bit of a budget, and the people who were doing it on Fiverr were very, very good. So hopefully I can get him back, or get them back. So I just kind of find whoever or whatever. So, but yes, that is the coloring process essentially. That's all that you're really doing. So anyway, so as we go around here, compile rejection. Yes, that is coloring process. That's all that you're really doing. So anyway, I colored the first 400 or so myself, and there's like 400 more to go, Scott. So I finished all the backgrounds, but I'm gonna have to go back over and do some more backgrounds because some of them look whack. So that's one of the other things too, is that I was in a rush or just trying to do the minimum, the bare minimum. And since then, my art has really improved in a lot of ways. So some of them just look, even by standards back then, just don't look good. So I'm gonna have to go back over and redo some of those. Especially some of the backgrounds. I'm like, we could do better. So I'll assume maybe an extra 100 on top of that. So I'll assume 500 is what is going to look like at the end of the day. But, you know, when you're trying to do a hand-drawn RPG, you know, there you go. Including the animations. The only thing that's not really animated by hand or whatever is actually going to be it's actually going to be the sprites. I have a little sprite program that I use with that stuff. Heaven and earth are full of your glory. Hosanna in the highest. Surprisingly not, Scott. It was definitely not tough keeping the style consistent. Because it's such a simple style. It's just very, just add a layer of color, shade layer, like a line or two in terms of, you know, multiply layer, dark shadow, and overlay of some highlights. That's it. So, like, I remember the guys on Fiverr, that I hired, he was so good that I thought that he was trying to trick me. And he sent back the same picture that I had made. And he pumped like 10 of those out in a day. I was just like, wow. But I wasn't on top of it the way that I could have been. And that's regrettable in terms of, you know, talking to him. So hopefully he's still around. Because he could not be around. And that would be very, disappointing. Incredibly disappointing. Break my little heart. But yeah, just depending on who it is. Hotkeys dedicated to, you know, all of these attacks that you have, and I want the combat to be super fast. Because one of the things I like about Suikoden series is that the combat was so fast. here's the thing about it, guys. Like, what I'm stuck on right now, just a decision, is that I can complete half of this game. It may be more accurate to say maybe I can complete 2/3 of this game and save it on the cliffhanger. Then when the real deal comes out, you know what I'm saying, that'll be its own thing. Or I can release 2 separate volumes of this. I'm just not quite sure what to do about that, that's all. So I don't know whether or not to release this in 2 separate volumes or... That's about it, cool. Or to just release the whole thing. Because all this is going to be a beta. I think it should be a beta. Okay, this is not the final version that I have. I buy a lot of stuff. I think it's worthy of a better treatment than just making it an RPG Maker. Not that I am hating on RPG Maker. This is my baby. But you know, making a game in like Unity or something more powerful like that, in terms of what you can actually do within that game. You know, apples and oranges. But you can make some really legit stuff. I've seen it. I've seen some people make some extraordinary stuff, you know? So, I don't know. Back in the same one, yep. Pop out, you're like, you know, quick. And that will add to the gameplay too, because if I can capitalize on, you know, the quickness of the combat, then when someone, oh, it's not the same one. Might be similar. When someone is playing the game and they're not careful, because that's one of the things I want to do. Is like, you know, let's say, for example, I use this attack right here. May not reach the right attack on that. But you know, if you're not careful, you can. Then you can end up like using the wrong attack, and then he heals the enemy, and then it's not a good time. There we go. Double Rapuken! Oh, crap. Oh no! getting these little things. Should be trying to go for the big one. Yeah. Yes, Eden Engine's still on the board. I need to jump into it, you know? So that's kind of what I want to do. It's like, I want to... So I might help me out with Scott. What I'm thinking I should do is wrap up this. I'll wrap this up. Wrap this up. And then begin to move support over to Eden Engine. And that way I can work with Ryan a little bit closer like that. And please make her angry, and we'll get some mixing involved in here. Oh, right. Guess I did that. That's no bueno. No, this version RPG Maker does not do that. This version RPG Maker uses DirectX, so it is essentially landlocked onto a PC. Pretty much go no further. So, some of my impatience and frustration with this is that I'm working on a game that only PC people can play. On an old engine, on an old version of this thing. This version of RPG Maker is almost a decade old. So I'm like, but I'm almost done with it. So that's what I'm kind of like, I'm almost done with it, right? And almost being relative to Strange Light. Almost done with it as in, you know, like I'm like about 3/5 of the way done with this whole thing, right? And yet, because of the Eden Engine, I look at this now as beta. Wow. That's what I was saying before, you know, if you can like, speed up the attacks and things like that, you know. Oh, this is the way to attack, rah, 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 and then... That's right attack. Right attack. Wrong attack. Doesn't do anything, you know what I'm saying? See that? Pay attention. not quite sure of what to do first. Oh yeah, I have to check if people are on the other site. Oh, we can find a super hand. Sweet. Let's find someone I can use this on. Come on now, I know you want to come out. But yeah, that's the issue. Oh, I should have gotten that red one. Oh well. Not enough. I'm not quite sure. I'm actually wisdom on that one. I mean, I think what I should do is just, you know, finish the whole thing up. So then that way, you know, there's not a gap in terms of development stuff, you know, saying that, you know, okay, we have like a complete first chapter, but then not a complete game. And that's kind of doo-doo. So that's why I think it would be good to, you know, for my team to have a complete game, right? But from a commercial standpoint, you know, or maybe what I could do also is that I could have, because essentially what is important is, maybe what I could do is do a thing where you have a balanced, complete RPG first half, cliffhanger, leave all that stuff. And then for the second half, I personally make the cinematics and all that kind of stuff, you know. And because I have to rework all the other stuff, I would do the dialogue, cinematics, all that stuff, you know. But because I have to rework everything else, when I jump ship anyway, then it doesn't matter about like the balanced enemies or things like that. It only matters about, you know, the flow of the enemies and all that good stuff, because I'm going to rebalance the monsters and everything, because the algorithm will be a lot different when I jump maybe to the Eden engine or whatever else. So I don't know. I really don't know. Then it doesn't matter about like the balanced enemies or things like that. It only matters. Oh crap! Jump right in front of me. I'll keep playing until I get a box open. I want a memory. Oh no, don't do that to the memory! Do I have enough now? Yes! Leather hide. We'll go to Queens. Yes. Okay, let it hide. Again, this is not what it's supposed to look like, but whatever. hard working was a lot of fun. Grime taught me so much. It was the first time I'd really taken a serious look at God. Like, how can all this come from nothing? Animals are so specific in how they're made. The skins are perfectly made for their environment and everything. It's really neat, but I just don't think he wants anything to do with little ants like us. Too much craziness going on in the world for him to be doing much of anything. I'm just gonna live. Yeah, see, you find a memory, then you find out something more about the characters. I'll just leave. Yeah. All right. Well, that's gonna do it for this podcast. This this particular episode to the live stream. You can support me on my Patreon, and the links are going to be in the description below. So I really appreciate the Patreon folks. Almost got up to 2 grand now. That's awesome. Just appreciate you guys so much for that. I really do. So, but if you watch this thing, let me know what you guys think I should actually do. Do you think what I should do is, because this is what sounds good to me so far, right? In thinking about it, I go ahead and finish this thing up. If I were to, you know, be consistent and really work my schedule and my things that I need to do, instead of, you know, not living by my calendar. So like, I have it written down in my planner and my calendar and things like that, you know, but sometimes I'm kind of like, I could be late because it's me. And it's like, no, you don't want to do that. But really living by my calendar, really doing it every day and everything, I might be able to finish this up by the end of the year. I'm not 100 about that. I don't know. But I think there's a lot of stuff that's going on in terms of revisions and stuff like that that I need to kind of go back over and redo. So maybe I should push it back to April if I'm going to actually do that. Push it back to the anniversary of No Room. My first company. So, but in any case, have a commercial release of this. Get it out there. Start the dialogue, start the conversations and all that stuff, because this will definitely do that. and then for my developers for the new engine and everything, complete this, but only complete the cinematics and the monsters that will come out of this, you know, all that kind of stuff. I can make me work with other people. But yeah, maybe I should just do it that way. Then that way something actually gets released. Because I've been working on this thing for a hot minute. And I'm ready to move on in terms of its development evolution. Like I said, this thing's on a 10-year-old version of RPG Maker. It's not even 16 by 9, dude. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. Yeah. So then that way, and this had to be a little bit down the line in terms of development. I can start the whole thing over in another engine called the Eden engine. That's the same engine that was used for it's not like a retail thing like that. It's a personal engine that was made by the developer Ube Citizens of Earth, shout out to Ryan. And that engine's pretty powerful. It can pretty much do anything, it can be ported to anything, you know. It will make this thing look stunning. Plus I know how to do spider animation now. If you haven't seen my spider animation, let me show you. But it may not be able to be used the way that it needs to be. I'm sorry. It may not look the way that it needs to be. Needs to look like. Where are my animation experiments? Here we go. Oh, it's just the projects themselves. Here we go, animation experiment.
It may not look the way that needs to look like.
Yeah, this walk cycle that I liked, I think. Like whenever I try to open up an ear fan view, it just plays it super fast, so I'm not gonna do that. There we go. So I made that much brighter, and it's a good looking animation so far. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff that I would like to make and make with people. You know, or hire someone to do this, you know, like, or something. And I think that starting the game over like that would lend itself better to people who actually want to help, you know, to actually help more. But, you know, a lot of times, you know, people give me the emotional help rather than, like, you know, the actual help. It's like, life's happening. It's like, me too, but let's keep going. So, I think I have another one.
And I think that starting the game over like that would lend itself better to people who actually want to help, you know, to actually help more.
You know, all these little animations and things I've been making for a while.
The emotional help rather than actual help. It's like, me too, but let's keep going.
And again, the arms are kind of gangly looking and everything, you know, so there's room for improvement. But, you know, if we can make it look at least like that at least that good, you know, then we'll be cooking with some fire. So, something's funny. This is like, I think one I made where someone's moonwalking to somebody. He's stunting on him. But these are just experiments I would do. Like here's some casual animations I was making. These guys should be going that slow. I mean, it's better if I do play the FMV on that one. Jeez. Yeah. Better. Here's this guy riding a bicycle. It's one of the funnier ones. Yep, that's him riding a bicycle. Oh, that's funny. Cause I didn't have a bicycle graphic. I didn't want to, you know, try to find one, so I just used like the little spider gives you this little gray guy and gives you like a gun and some other stuff. So I was just like, yeah, I'll just use the gun as a bicycle. Whatever, fight me. This is my favorite one that I call this the gun debate. Oh man, fun stuff. I miss doing these sometimes. And that's like him running and stopping. Yeah. Cool stuff. Anyway, but so much more to do with this whole project, you know, and I just... What do you guys think I should do, though? You let me know in the comments below. So I'm going to go ahead and sign out for here. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I shall see you in the remix. Daggone it. Links in the description below for the Patreon, all that good stuff. And other places you can support me and support this business/ministry. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much, Scott Jacobson, for stopping by. And bye bye.